Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and important story. It's a clash between an ancient treaty signed between sovereign nations and a brand new provincial law. So let's break down what's really at the heart of this conflict.
At its core, this whole thing boils down to one fundamental question. Who really has authority here? Is it a provincial government that's only been around for a little over 100 years? Or is it a First Nation, whose relationship with the land and whose agreements go back way before the province even existed? That right there, that's the central tension.
So what lit the fuse on this centuries-old issue and brought it to a boiling point right now? Well, it all came to a head with a recent stand taken at the Alberta legislature.
And here it is. This is the document that thrusts this issue into the spotlight. It's a press release from March 9, 2026. The Onion Lake Cree Nation officially announced they were showing up in Edmonton to stand up for their treaty rights against this new provincial action. And here's their leader, Pete Teef, laying out their purpose with absolute clarity. It's about protecting rights and making sure Alberta honors its agreements. But pay close attention to that last word he uses, the Crown. Not the province, the Crown. That single word, that distinction, is literally everything in this story.
To really get why that word matters so much, we've got to hop in a time machine. We need to go way back to a time before the province of Alberta was even a thing.
This timeline just lays it all out so clearly. The Cree people's connection to this land goes back to time immemorial. Then, in 1876, a sacred agreement, Treaty 6, is signed with the Crown. It's not until almost 30 years after this nation-to-nation agreement that the province of Alberta is even created. The order of events here is the entire foundation of their argument.
And that brings us to this key idea, a nation-to-nation relationship. See, this wasn't some minor land deal or an arrangement with a local official. This was a formal, binding agreement between two sovereign powers, the Onion Lake Cree Nation on one side and the Crown on the other.
Okay, so we've got the history. Now let's see how that historical foundation builds into the central legal argument that's driving this entire conflict today.
This chart does a great job of breaking down the two very different relationships at play here. The Onion Lake Cree Nation's argument is that its relationship with the province comes second. Their foundational relationship is the direct nation-to-nation partnership they have with the Crown.
And you don't have to take my word for it. Here's Pete Teef again, stating it as simply and as powerfully as you can.
The line of communication, and more importantly, the line of legal duty, goes directly to the Crown.
So here's the bottom line. From the perspective of the Onion Lake Cree Nation, when a provincial law and a treaty law come into conflict, it's not even a contest. Treaty law, as a foundational agreement of the entire country, is supreme. Period.
Which brings us right back to today. What is this modern law that has sparked such a direct challenge?
It's this piece of legislation right here, the Alberta Sovereignty Act. For the Onion Lake Cree Nation, this isn't just another policy to be debated. For them, it is a direct and unlawful violation of their long-held treaty rights.
And here's the breakdown of why they see it that way. They argue the act completely undermines their treaty rights. It shatters that nation-to-nation relationship. It wrongly asserts provincial power where treaty jurisdiction should rule. And ultimately, they see it as the province failing to honor the original promises made by the Crown.
You know, this legal battle, it's about so much more than just a single piece of legislation. It's really about protecting a legacy and securing a future.
When it all comes down to it, this is about upholding what the Onion Lake Cree Nation calls the true spirit and intent of Treaty Number 6. It's a sacred duty, not just for the people living there today, but to make sure that the promise made between nations will last for all the generations that are yet to come.
And that leaves all of us with a really profound question, one that goes way beyond this single conflict. In a world of constantly changing politics and new laws, how do we and how should we honor the ancient foundational promises that were made?